deeply divided over whether or not to join the EU. Early election results in Moldova show 50% of ballots voting in favour of setting EU membership as a goal for the country. People there were voting in that referendum, but also for their next president. Incumbent pro-EU Maia Sandu says there was unprecedented interference in the election. She came out on top for the presidential vote, but not with the 50% needed to avoid a second-round runoff. Here she is speaking about the elections.
Criminal groups working together with foreign forces hostile to our national interests have attacked our country with tens of millions of euros, lies and propaganda. We have clear evidence that these criminal groups aim to buy 300,000 votes, a fraud of unprecedented scale.
Dimensiunea fraudei este fără precedent.
Well, we can speak now to our correspondent, Maria Niculescu-Gert, to find out a bit more. Maria, firstly, on the referendum about the EU membership, it looks like the country very, very split on that issue. Pretty much 50-50, is it?
Yes, it's an extremely tight race for this referendum. After the first preliminary results last night had shown the referendum failing with around 54% of against voted, this estimation remained such for a few hours. But then during the night, the results of the diaspora started trickling in, tipping the balance. And currently there are about 50% of votes on both sides, with 98% of votes counted so far. The difference is going to be made by a few hundred voters only. What we know so far for sure is that the majority of citizens inside of Moldova chose to vote no in this EU referendum, but the diaspora massively voted yes, with over 75% of ballots in favor EU accession. Whatever the result, this shows once again how divided the Moldovan population is on the issue surrounding the European Union. This vote also comes after an aggressive meddling campaign by Russia, who's tried to influence the vote to ensure that the referendum fails. During the night, President Maia Sandu, who's made EU integration one of the main topics of her mandate, accused organized criminal groups of attacking Moldova, and she said that 300,000 votes were actually bought, and she's referring here to Russian interference orchestrated by fugitive oligarch Ilan Shor. Earlier this month, the Moldovan police had already confirmed that 130,000 Moldovans were paid through Russian banks in order to vote no in the referendum.
OK, a payoff for votes, but also a no among those that voted within her own country. The incumbent president coming out on top when it comes to the presidential polls, even if not getting that 50%, Maria.
Yes, a much less tight presidential race. Maia Sandu wins the first round with a bit over 40% of votes, more or less as was expected. She's followed by Alexander Stoyanoglu, who has 26% of votes so far. He's the candidate for the Moldovan Socialist Party, led by former President Igor Dodon, who's known for his ties with Russia and the Kremlin. Alexander Stoyanoglu also said that he boycotted the referendum. A second round of this presidential race will be held on November 3rd. It could be a tight race as well. Most of the 9 other candidates are opposed to Maia Sandu, and so they could choose to support Alexander Stoyanoglu. Oligarch Ilan Shor, who is the pro-Russian opposition voice and the voice of Russian interference here in Moldova, had called citizens to vote for anyone but Sandu. But the referendum could also be a wake-up call for those who support Maia Sandu's pro-European stance and who didn't go out to vote on Sunday. Yesterday's voter turnout lied around 51.6%.
OK, Maria, for now, thanks very much indeed.